Really excited about tomorrow. What we will do is, because our dorms are not ready to move in. How are you, Chip? Good to see you. Like old days here. God, got a guy who's got hair looking like mine sitting in the room. He and Art. That's two of us. So we'll move into the Hyatt. As a team, we'll stay there 16 days. So the guys that are living off campus voted that they wanted to stay in the hotel with the other kids that lived on campus as well. And our coaches will stay there, and we'll just go back and forth. We'll eat the meals here. We'll obviously do all of our work here. Meetings are here, but they will stay at the Hyatt. And Friday will be the first time that we've seen our team as a whole. We had 5 guys on defense that weren't out there this spring that will be healthy on Friday, so it'll be fun to watch them run with the addition of all the new guys. So all those things are things that we're excited about. Practice obviously starts in shorts. Your first 2 days, you've got shells the next 2 days, and then the 5th practice you can go in pads. The guys have not been in the weight room to work. They walked in there to look at it, so the first day they will lift in the weight room. We'll be starting out new and fresh, and that'll be on Friday. They walked through the locker room the other day. They have not put their stuff in the locker room yet. We wanted that to be new and fresh when they got back, so they'll move into the locker room tomorrow. And our equipment staff will be moving all their new gear into their lockers today as we speak, and we'll go down there and look at that in a few minutes. Everything we've heard from Brian Hess this summer and Kelsey this summer, our nutritionists, as well as our all of the Chico and the player development guys that were around all summer. Things have gone really well. I was able to watch quite a few of the workouts. We can't watch them throw the ball, obviously, or get involved with the ball, but we can go to the strength and conditioning running workouts, and everybody seems to be in great shape and ready to go. So I look forward to showing you folks the facilities here in a minute, but any questions before we do that?
Do you feel like you
Yes, we feel like we're in a much better place right now than we were when we got here at the end of November. And our job now is we got to start coaching them up. It's no more learning the system and no more getting to know each other and building trust. We got to coach. And to do that, you've got to evaluate. Players will decide who plays and who plays where. We got a number of those young guys. We're not sure where they'll play yet, especially on defense. We're not looking at starting to redshirt anybody as we go into the season. We're going to play everybody we need to win. We do expect them to practice Friday. So they're released now. Anytime you've got someone like Cater's knee, if it swells or will it slow him down, we're not sure. You'll have to that'll be determined by how much work he can do before it gets sore, and can he do that every day. But those guys are all behind. The front guys are more behind than the back end guys because especially Miles Wolfick practiced a lot in the spring. He just couldn't do it full speed. But he knew the system. Miles Dorm was out there a lot. He didn't get to practice because of his hernia. But then the Strobridge and the 2 outside guys didn't do anything. So they'll be more behind than the other guys.
does that matter?
No, we really don't. The biggest thing for us is getting the right guy, and they're all young. 2 of them got hurt last year, so there's some history of injuries there. So we've got to make sure that we've got at least 2 guys prepared to play, and hopefully a 3rd one. And always your concern is that after the one is named as a starter, the other 2 go to the transfer portal and leave, because that seems to be a modern day issue for us.
Matt, to follow up on
Aaron, it usually works. It works itself out. And somebody gets a sore elbow, somebody gets a sore ankle, somebody has to step back a little bit, and then the other two step back up. So we're going into it just wide open and with no expectations of a timetable, and we're just going to let it work itself out.
Will it be wide open?
Yes. Yes, all three quarterbacks will have equal reps, and right now we have no clue about which one's going to step up, but what we've told them, and it sounds facetious, but it's really not, is we're going to put you in situations, and the one that moves the team and scores is the one's going to play. So that'll be the best leader. That'll be the one that handles the offense the best, because it's a cerebral quarterback offense. You got to make good decisions. They've been through a summer with it now, with their player-led practices. They've been through a spring with it. They've been with Coach Longo all spring, all three of them. They've gotten exactly the same number of reps. So we feel like they're ready to go. And obviously, some of them took a bigger step this summer than others, and we'll probably see that here in the first week or so.
Matt, do you have
When we were here before, it was interesting that we nearly always had two guys, and they rotated and it worked. When we went to Texas, it wasn't as easy. For some reason, it just didn't work as well. So we were more with one quarterback at Texas. We were with two here. I just want to win. So I really don't care if one of them goes out there and takes over and does really well, he'll play. We do need to have two ready to play, obviously, because you're one snap away from losing your quarterback at all times, and your whole team is dependent on how your quarterback plays. So two of these guys need to be healthy and ready to go.
Coach, you've been
Well, it's a big stretch from what we had when we got here, because those weren't a lot different than the ones we put in 22 years ago. So I think to see the faces of the players when they walked in, we had the seniors walk in first. We had locked them out 10 days before, so they couldn't see the locker room. To hear them, to see them snapping all their pictures and doing their videos, it was really heartwarming, and it shows a true commitment from Bubba and Kevin, our administration here, to get this thing fixed, and I think the players feel that.
in terms of recruiting.
You have to. I mean, that the players look at that as a commitment. Are they committed? Is it really important here or not? And what we did is we took the best lockers in the country. We have a leadership committee. We had them sit down with Corey Holliday and go over everything they liked about the locker and things they wanted to add. And they added, obviously, some things to keep their phones and their iPads and their computers charged while they're at practice.
Coach, I know we got practice here.
I'm really excited. I was at an ESPN seminar and panel last night with David Cutcliffe and David Doran and Jeff Collins from Georgia Tech, and they were asking about, is there anxiety as you get ready to start? And there's really not. It's I can't wait to get back out there. It's something I've done my whole life and something I missed the last 5 years. And it was funny that I would be at the ESPN seminar last night, because that's where I'd be today, talking about all the teams if I wasn't here. So it was fun to see all my friends last night, and also fun to think how much I've learned about your business over the last 5 years. That was one of the questions they asked me. And I think it puts me in a better position to be starting back here. Yes.
How is it?
Yes. Art's talking about two-a-days with double sessions, and I never liked two-a-days. I thought when you go back and study it, you get more people hurt during preseason two-a-days than any other time, because they get too tired. You work them too much. They don't get enough sleep. And everything that we believe about recovery is against keeping them out there in 2 practice sessions, and sometimes people used to have 3. I like this much better, and what we will do is we'll practice most mornings at 10. They'll get up at 6:30, 6:45 at the hotel. We'll bus them over. They'll dress. They'll eat here. After we practice, we will have our lunch. They'll go back and have 2 hours to sleep at the hotel while our coaches are working and doing all their planning, going back and reviewing the morning practice and preparing for the next practice. And even better than that, Art, you take now a number of practices, then you have to take a day off. So they get a complete day off in practice, and then you go another 5 and they get another complete day off. So I think this is much better for player wellness and much better for the safety of your team, because again, the studies say that preseason practice, you lose more people than any other time, and especially when you're going 7 or more at a time against each other. So when you've got groups that fall into each other and they get a little bit tired, then it's not beneficial. The other thing we learned at Texas after we left here is it's very hot here in the fall. It's very hot in Texas in the fall. Our first 3 years at Texas, we would take tired teams into the season. I thought we were out of shape. So I was screaming at the strength coaches, and we're tired because they've been out in that sun twice a day. We never took them inside. We didn't have an indoor area till I think 2004. So after the first 3 years of starting so poorly and then finishing better, we went to Houston, we went to New Orleans, we went to Jacksonville, and we went to Miami and asked the pro teams, how do you prepare in this heat? What do you do? All of them said, these guys are like Olympians now. They work year round. They're in great shape. And what you do, if you're not careful, is you wear them out and they dehydrate, and that's when they get hurt. So stay outside for an hour, go inside for an hour. Don't be stupid. So we've learned that you don't have to have them in the heat every minute of every day. So we'll actually flex inside because there's a lot of walkthroughs and standing. You do that for an hour before you start practice, and you don't want to do that out in the heat. Go out and work in the heat, and then come back and finish in a cooler environment, which isn't cool in the indoor, but it'll be cooler, and they focus better, and they're a lot less likely to get hurt. The other thing that is much better now is what you do for recovery. I mean, after practice, the stretching that Brian Hess will do, all of those things are much better than they were when I was coaching before. Jonathan, the other thing is we're also going to have some practices before the day off at 3:30 to prepare us for the South Carolina game. And we're going to have a practice at 8 o'clock at night to prepare us for the Miami game, just so we can go through a daily routine of what they're going to do before those games, because we've got a lot of new guys and we've never been together as a staff. How do we manage the running back room? That's a good problem. And what we've got is you'll have some guys that are better up inside than outside. Some guys are better in space. And I really like what we're doing offensively because we can utilize all those guys with different formations and different plays to get them the ball at different times. But you've really got 3, which is not a whole lot. And what we felt like when we were here before, because we had some great backs, we would try to divide up their reps, have some in there for the special plays that they do best, but also if a guy's in the game, if Michael Carter's in the game and he's ripping it up, leave him in. Let him go if he's hot. And when we were here with Darryl Moody, he used to let them go 5 plays apiece, and the one that kept gaining yards stayed in. So, and that's just kind of what you do, what's working. Yeah.
The challenge.
Chip, it's a great question, but I think it's different. I'm older. I'm more mature. I feel like we have a better staff that fits us now than back then. I'd have to go back and remember who was at every position then. Kids, you take better care of kids now because the system puts you in that position. When you're a young coach, you just want to work hard and prove to everybody that you're smart, and I don't need any of that anymore. We just want to win. So I can sit down and I think I can put our coaches in a better position to take care of the players and coach them, and I can put our players in a better position just by being honest with them. We'll walk in tomorrow, and some of the guys that didn't play well this spring, we're going to tell them, we're going to look at the younger guys before you. We told them that in the spring. And that's totally up to you, but you got to manage it. You got to handle it. And before, I would have said, if you don't like it, leave. So, I mean, it'd have been different. Coach Dooley always said, don't bitch, transfer. That was his deal. So I would have been more like Coach Dooley at that time. Now you sit and show a guy a video from the spring and say, here's what you're not doing well. Here's what you got to fix, and we're going to let this other guy try it. And hopefully you've had a good summer, and you'll do that better than now. The other thing that I've mentioned this to some of the folks in this room, Coach Smith and Coach Guthridge taught me a lot, but one of the things they always talked about is playing time. So we've got to make sure that Strobridge and Crawford are really good players. I think they're NFL players. When they get tired, and they will at South Carolina in that heat, when do they have to come out, and who can go in and play as well as they are tired when they're healthy, and how many plays can they play? And we've got to do a great job of coaching, but we've also got to do a great job of evaluating and managing playing time. I think that is so key, and we've had so many injuries here over the last couple of years. One of the reasons you have injuries, you don't have a lot of depth. You're out there too long with these tempo offenses, and you just wear out, and you can't protect yourself, and you get hurt. So we feel like that depth is such a key for us, and hopefully some of these guys that we signed in the first recruiting class will come in and help us. Yeah, we'll start Nick at right guard, maybe Nick at left guard, and Ed Montelis at right guard, and Brian Anderson at center. But that is a concern. Brian hadn't played very much. With what we're doing, the center is so key, and he's got to be able to snap the ball well. And we had a lot of poor snaps in the spring. So we also will look at Ty Murray, a true freshman, because he's 325, 30 pounds. He's been very impressive this summer. How will he do when you put pads on? Who knows? But Nick will keep a presence in that center role just until we find out what we've got at center. But that's one of the key concerns for us going into preseason camp. I really have. It's been overwhelming. You stay out 5 years, and you're really not sure, number one, if somebody would want you to come back. You're not sure about the response when you get back with high school coaches and with our fans and our students and our grassroots people, and everybody's just, it's been overwhelming. I've been not surprised, but we're very pleased, Sally and I both. And I'd also think it shows that there's fits at places, and Sally and I feel like we fit here, but we're also very familiar with this place. We know the university. We know Chapel Hill. We know the teams that we play in the league. We know the rivalry with NC State and Duke and Wake Forest, and we know how good Appalachian is coming in. And I just think that it just a reminder to me as athletic directors are looking at coaches, they need to find people that fit the place. And Sally and I feel like we've been able to make up a lot of ground in a very short period of time just because we were so familiar with boosters, high school coaches, so many people before we came in. It's been much easier for us than it would have been if we'd gone somewhere we'd never been before.
Mac, this program facing a team like South Carolina.
Yes, we were sitting in a team meeting, and one of the players said about maybe the third week we were here, where I think I was rah-rah and motivating them and all that. And one of them said, how do you win? How do you figure out how to win? We've been in a lot of close games and we haven't won them. And then the other night at the women's clinic, they asked one of our seniors, or they asked a group of 4, and there was a senior sitting there, what's the biggest thing you all have to learn to do? Senior, I told Sally sitting next to her, he's going to say, learn to win. I mean, that's it, because they've been in enough games here, just haven't finished them. And hand went up, he said, we got to learn to win. We've gotten to the fourth quarter, we haven't finished fourth quarter. So everything we will do is talk about doing little things right to win the fourth quarter. And we'll make a huge emphasis in the latter part of every practice that this is our fourth quarter. And then in most practices, we'll finish with a 1-minute offense. And that's what we did at Texas. And one of the best things we did here, but even better at Texas, is we won close games. And we did that with confidence. And I've told the staff, that's on you. You've got to show these guys how we're going to do it and give them enough confidence that when they get in that position, that they know we're going to win the game. And we have a last-second field goal to finish every practice. And all the offensive players line up for the field goal, and all the defensive players are throwing things at the kicker and the holder and screaming at him and yelling at him to try to get him upset. So we're putting him in that position in practice before he ever gets to the game. What else? Yes, we're really concerned in the spring because there's a bunch of puppies out there just running around, and this offense is not easy for new young linebackers to follow because there's so much misdirection and so many things that can get their eyes undisciplined. So we felt like Jeremiah Gimble played really well in the spring. He needed to get stronger. I've seen him. Brian Hess thinks he's much stronger and much more ready to play now. So he and Dominic would be the 2 guys that will walk out there the first time. Then you've got Matt Flynn, who is a good athlete and looks good, and we just keep talking to Matt about, I think he tries too hard and he worries too much. You got to just relax and make plays, turn it loose. And then you've got Surratt, who's 228 pounds now and can really run, probably runs 4.5, hadn't played the position before, and you put him out there as a young guy in an offense where they're all over the place with misdirection stuff, and it's tougher for him. So in that case, you might even take Surratt and you blitz him more, just so he doesn't have to sit and think. But we'll see how that goes here in the next month. We were very impressed with Quadri Jackson in the spring game. He moved out to nickel. He made tackles all over the place. So we really feel like he's got a presence and will come into play some. And then you've got Eugene Asante, who can really run. He got here a little bit later, so I'm not sure about his conditioning yet, but he's a guy we feel like runs 4.5, 215 pounds, and could be a real asset for us too. He just hadn't played yet. And then you've got John Smith, who will be suspended for a couple of games academically, so he can't play as early as you would like, but he's an older guy that we feel like can help us with stability when the time comes. Yeah, and some of them I'd rather not share because they're personal to people, but I do feel like in talking to everybody that one of the issues was our field, and that it wasn't in great shape, and that we were sodding it every week, and that sod doesn't take roots, so you don't have a real stable footing, and the kids thought that was some of it. I don't think there's any question that another part of it's depth. We didn't have a lot of depth, and that's the other reason you lose fourth quarter games is you're tired, and you get there, but you just can't finish. You know, we're sitting here, 4 minutes and 19 seconds or something away from beating Virginia Tech. We fumble at the 1. They get the intercept, or it pops up in there. They get it, but they're 97 yards away. You got to win that game, and they overcome a 4th and 19. So you have to think some of that is just you're worn out, and you can't get there. You can't rush the passer. So that's why we got to get more depth.